power sector is in focus, especially renewables and green power is in focus. And now we understand that Mahindra Group is making big strides in that space. And we have Mahindra Susten, the vehicle, the arm of the Mahindra Group, via which they are massively expanding in the sustainability green energy space. Is the MD and CEO of that company, Deepak Thakur, is now joining us to talk more about that. Deepak, thank you very much for your time. No, it just occurred to me when I was looking at the, this news article which has come in. Mahindra Susten is going to make big progress in this space of green energy. That Mahindra Group, from farm to autos, financial services, green energy was the only area, perhaps which was the missing block. And now the group is setting up big capacities there. First of all, if you could help us understand the thought process of the management level that you arrived upon and thought of focusing in this area.
Thank you, Ajay, first of all, for having me on this program. First of all, I think I'd like to clarify that Mahindra has been in the renewable space for the last decade plus now, almost 12 years. In fact, we were the first entities of the block when in 2011, when the National Solar Mission got launched. And as Mahindra Susten, we have actually built about 4,200 megawatts of solar projects in the country and externally. And we were one among the largest EPC players. About 7 years back is when Mahindra decided to also look at the development side of renewable projects. And in the last 6 years, we have actually built about 1,500 megawatts of our own projects, solar projects in the country. Now, the reason why I think there has been a further kind of build-up in the way Mahindra is now looking at growing this portfolio is for various reasons. One obviously has been the fact that the whole renewable canvas in the country has actually seen a humongous kind of acceleration because of the policies, the whole commercial prices of technologies moving downwards, and obviously also because of the fact that there is a huge greater awareness in the whole corporate as well as the global scene in terms of need to move towards green energy with climate change that is happening. Within this, I think also important for us to reflect on the fact that planet positivity is a clear focus for the Mahindra Group. Hence, within that area, renewable energy transition is something that is also being focused on. And so Sustain actually provides an avenue for Mahindra to have a footprint in the green energy space, servicing the requirement of the nation, but also meet its own renewable energy transition commitments it's made, which goes on to actually state that about by 2030, 100% of our renewable energy transition is going to be effective. So I think that's the way I think Sustain is now kind of moving forward and actually building a stronger pipeline of not only solar plants now, we are looking at wind and solar. This is the first project that we are setting up. And for going forward, RTC projects, FDRE projects, energy storage projects. I think we are looking at the entire gamut of renewable energy solution for the country and for ourselves.
Excellent. No, Deepak, just to clarify, what I meant was that since your green energy initiatives were not in any of the listed companies, so probably for the wider viewers, they were not very known very prominently, not because the focus always has been on the group's listed companies. But good to know that you also started off very early. And now, of course, now the company is getting into second gear. Before we get into how much additional capacities, how much investment are you planning there, I would like to understand the business case. Because being of such a, it's a huge group and manufacturing is key. In your group companies, what is the requirement of power, energy, and which this company will be able to fulfill? And what will be the business case beyond catering to the group? Will it also be looking at, other clients outside of the group? If you could just explain the model.
So currently, if you look at just the auto farm sector, which is one of the largest manufacturing footprints that the group has, they have clearly got a roadmap for moving towards renewable energy over the next 6 to 7 years. The auto and farm sector is already at about 34% utilization of renewable energy, and they have a plan to move to 60% by FY26. And this project that is now being put up by Sustain will actually enable them move in that direction. Obviously, this is currently focused on facilities which are all Maharashtra based because it's a group captive project that we are setting up to service requirements within Maharashtra. Going forward, there would be opportunities for us to look at interstate connected projects which also provide the same renewable energy requirements for facilities which are set up in locations other than Maharashtra. So obviously, this is the first step where Sustain comes in and actually joins the efforts at the auto and farm sector. And like so for other group companies, there are a lot of other group companies also within which are also looking at RE transition. And as we build capacity to service auto and farm sector, which is the largest consumer of energy within the group, we will also meet requirements of other entities requiring for their power requirements. So that's, I think, the way we're going forward. And the business case very clearly is, obviously, a greener planet is all that we are working towards, and that's a clear mission and vision. Second, obviously, if you look at the group captive model and you look at renewable energy today, the cost of delivered power is obviously 25 to 30% lower today as compared to grid power. So obviously, there's an economic benefit which also accrues to the off-taking entity. And third, but not, I would say, is basically an important element is it also protects from the vagaries of fluctuations in grid tariffs for the next 20, 25 years. So obviously, there's a benefit that the off-taker gets in terms of also moving towards green energy.
Sure. Deepak, I also want to understand what are the current capacities right now? What is the schedule for addition of capacities? We understand that you've also, along with your partner, done a recent round of fundraising. Are you adequately capitalized for this expansion? If you could share some of the thoughts around these.
Thank you. Yeah. So December 2022 is when Ontario Teachers Pension Plan, one of the largest pension plans in Canada, actually became a strategic partner and an investor in Sustain. They initially took a 30% stake, and earlier this later part of last year, they took another 9.99%. So they actually have 39.99% stake in Mahindra Susten, while the rest is held by the Mahindra Group. And with this transaction, both Mahindras as well as Ontario Teachers have actually committed for a build of about 5.5 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity over the next 5 years. And of this journey, I think as I speak today, Mahindra Sustain already has a pipeline of roughly about 2 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity that we have won and which we are going to start constructing and building as we speak right now. And there is a possibility that we should be able to make good this target earlier, and then obviously there'll be a roadmap which will be discussed with the shareholders to see how it can be moved forward. So clearly there's a committed capital that for the 5.5 gigawatts, and the capacity that we are talking about for the Maharashtra project is within that particular commitment that is already been made.
And just one last question before we let you go, Deepak. I want to understand what kind of cost savings would the group have, or if you would have any data on which would be the biggest customers within the group, and what kind of cost savings would that happen because of Mahindra Susten at that company?
So as I mentioned, while I'll not be able to get into specifics, and I just mentioned if you look at delivered cost of captive power, if you look at a project like this, a solar wind hybrid project, which allows a PLF in the range of 35 to 40%, would actually enable a 25 to 30% reduction in the cost of delivered power as compared to grid power today. Obviously, this varies from state to state. However, in the Maharashtra context, it will be in that range.
Right. All right, Deepak, we'll let you go on that one. Thanks so much for joining us, and good luck on your plans.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.